On this vote, the ayes are 232, the nays are 197. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
In a 232 to 197 vote, Donald Trump has been impeached for a second time, making him a loser of historic proportions. No president before him had been impeached twice. Now we have the biggest loser in history. Incredible. So, in case you don't know why he was impeached, as Vox writes here, Trump is charged with incitement of insurrection for his role in fomenting the deadly occupation of the Capitol. And this was, in fact, a bipartisan impeachment. Public Citizen saying here, Trump's impeachment is officially the most bipartisan impeachment in American history. 10 Republicans voted for it. So, again, showing you really how horrible this Republican Party is. Only 10 after what happened last week. The entire party is the party of Trump. They're all disgusting. Now, as Vox writes here, in contrast to a 2019 impeachment that took many months and went through multiple committee hearings, the speed with which this took place is notable. The violence that left several people dead, including one Capitol police officer killed by protesters and another who later died by suicide, has deeply shaken both Congress and the citizens of Washington, D.C., and the severity of the attack and the anti-democratic sentiment it represents ultimately led Democrats and some Republicans to argue that it required Trump's immediate removal. So, as they say here, it is notable how quickly this happened. You got to give some credit here to lawmakers to turn this around so fast. Now, of course, because we're looking at Trump already leaving office, I think it makes the whole process for them politically a lot easier. So ultimately, maybe they really shouldn't be given all that much credit. He really should have been impeached that week. I mean, the fact that it took a week is a week too long. But still, good. He's impeached. It happened. And this now gets to the question of the Senate. So impeachment just means, yes, he's impeached as he was before, but unless he's convicted in the Senate, he's not leaving office, and ultimately he's leaving office anyways, and it seems almost a 0% chance at this point that there's going to be an attempt to convict him before he leaves office on the 20th. So here is what Vox writes. That means that 17 Republicans would have to join with the 50-person Democratic caucus on a conviction vote once newly elected John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock of Georgia are seated. While Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is reportedly pleased that Democrats are impeaching Trump, according to the New York Times, no Senate Republicans have announced that they'll vote to convict the president yet. McConnell also recently told colleagues he has yet to make a final decision. So you may wonder, with Donald Trump leaving office anyways, what is the point of even convicting him? Well, at the very least, it would mean that Trump cannot run again. So there is that benefit. There is this, to be honest with you, I don't think Trump would run in 2024 anyways, but why take that chance? He absolutely is going to pretend that he's going to run. He's been raising a lot of money with his new PAC since the election, with the assumption that I have, at least, that he's going to use that money to travel around the country, giving speeches, pretend he's running again in 2024, ultimately not run, but in the meantime, taking a lot of money with his PAC, travel the world or travel the country, and then be able to basically use that PAC as a way to hold it over Republican politicians. If they want that money, then they have to basically kiss his boots, as they continue to do anyways. So with the threat of him not being able to run again, that potentially means we get to hear a lot less from Trump. Already, with him being banned from Twitter, Facebook, we're already hearing a lot less from Trump, which is fantastic. I know my life has been, at least my Twitter life has been improved considerably since he's left. So I have no complaints there. But ultimately, yeah, there isn't that much of an impact if he's convicted. Still, it does set a precedent. It does show that if you're going to, incite violence and try to steal an election or try to flip the results of an election, that you will be held accountable. Now, one last thing here, as Trump's support appears to be dropping. So, look, I don't put too much, focus on this. I think when it comes to the GOP base, a lot of it is emotional. So it's very possible a new figurehead will show up, maybe like a Josh Hawley or a Ted Cruz, and all these voters will simply, once again, continue leaving their brains turned off, support those maniacs, and really nothing will change. But at least when it comes to Trump being the figurehead, it does appear his support is dropping, as Morning Consult writes here. Fewer GOP voters back Trump for 2024 following Capitol mayhem. Republican voters were asked whom they would vote for if the Republican primary for the 2024 presidential election were held today. So you can see on November 21st to 23rd, Trump had 54% of Republican voters saying they would vote for him in 2024. But now, January 8th to 11th, after the insurrection on the Capitol, only 42%. So it's dropped considerably. Now, it's still really, in the grand scheme of things, isn't all that much. You still have a massive chunk of Republican voters saying they would vote for Trump in the primary, even more support him in when it comes to his favorability ratings. So ultimately, this doesn't really mean a whole lot. Obviously, it clearly had an impact on his support, but with him leaving office, with him potentially not being able to run again, if he's convicted, if there is 17 Republicans that want to acknowledge reality, then regardless of how they feel about Trump, doesn't really matter. But it does show you that he has, a base here that even now is able to lose some support. You would think after 4 years of this insanity that whoever's left supporting him would just stay supporting Trump, but it appears not. So apparently even those people, even Trump supporters, some of them have their limit.